Hey everyone, it's Miss Mackenzie again. So this video is going to help with adjacent angles. So in the last section, 10.1, we just looked at one angle at a time. So basically we would just look at this angle and we would find an x. If we knew the degrees, we would maybe measure using our protractor. That's pretty much what we did, those two concepts. This one is adjacent angles, but the same kind of idea. What is an adjacent angle? It's if they share the same vertex and a side, but they have no interior points in common. So no interior points in common makes it a little bit different, but basically this angle here and this angle here, because they don't share any points in common. You can't say this angle and then all the way. That's not adjacent. So adjacent's where they're touching, basically. They share a side and a vertex. So let's look down here at this example. So they're saying that A or red and blue are not adjacent here. Okay, and we know all the way across and small is not as well. Let's look at this other example from the book here. Use a diagram of the roller coaster supports and name an angle adjacent to FAD. So FAD. So the middle is our vertex. So it has to have the same vertex. That's A. So if we name one that's like this one, it has to have A in the middle. And let's look, it has to have a side in common. So here's a side in common. We did FAD. We could do DAB. See, these two are angles that are adjacent. They share this side and they share that angle there. So there's one there. Name two angles adjacent to BGC. BGC. So here G is our vertex. Which ones, and basically we're talking about this angle, I just put a dot in, right? Here. And so here's one that's adjacent and here's one that's adjacent. So they want you to see there's two that are. How could I call this one out? I would say DGB. Better have the same center one. And this one over here would be EGH. And then we have this one, and this one that are all adjacent. Well, not all adjacent. These two are adjacent to this one. Okay, name two angles adjacent to CEH. CEH. So E is here, and we would need to label these two, right, that are adjacent. They'd share the same middle, the same vertex, and then the sides. All right, so then let's look at another concept that they threw at you, and this is really all, basically they just made you look at two angles at the same time, very similar to the other section we just did. So they say, all right, you have angle PRS, the whole thing is 80 degrees. Well, if one side is 25 and one is X, well then, you know, what is the degrees? So let me grab something to write that on. I don't want to. So here we are. So we're going to say, okay, whole thing's 80. This one's 25. This one's X. The way we could write that out is 25 plus X would have to equal 80. And I write it out this way to make you think about it. Most people would be like, just subtract 25 in case instead of X, you have something a little harder than X. Well, from here, I would subtract that 25, which is the way most of you probably would have already done it, and then got your answer, subtracting your 25 to get 55. So X is 55. So this other angle is 55 degrees. Oops, 55 degrees. Okay, and I think in your homework, that's pretty much what they're doing. They're making you come up with adjacents. Now notice on this one, they don't make you say three letters. This is W, X, Y, Z. So like Y, what's adjacent to Y? X and Z. So either way, they could make you label them with one or more. So you're just telling me what's adjacent, and then you're going to be getting things like we just did. If one of them's 38, one of them's 4x, and the whole thing is 142, well, find x. So So you'd go 38 plus 4x equals the 142. Okay, so you'd have to write that out. And there's lots of ways to write it. Just find the one that's correct. So this one would be 4x plus 38 equals 142. That one's correct. 38, nope, they don't have any other. Excuse me, I was checking if they had more than one answer that was correct. Sometimes they do that. Yeah, and that's what you're doing. You're saying, are they adjacent, yes or no? And deciding, this one's a little harder. Ooh, let's do that one. Okay. This isn't a challenge one, but it's sort of similar. Okay, it says, oops, you can't quite see the whole problem. There we go. It says the measure of TOW is 145. What is the value of x? Well, we know this one plus this one would equal that 145. So 3x plus 4x plus 19 has to equal 145. So how would I solve this? Well, these are both like terms, so we can combine these two terms, and we would just combine the numbers in front, the coefficients, and keep the letter. 3 plus 4 is 7 x's plus 19 equals 145. Then from there, here's my x, so I have to get rid of what's added or subtracted first. So I'm going to minus my 19 over. So 145 minus 19, which it's not like that's a hard one. For some reason, I couldn't think of 126. I was trying to think, subtract 20 and then add 1 back on because you're at 19. So 126 equals 7x, but I don't know what that is divided by 7. I don't want to do the long division for that one. So x is 18. So divide by 7, divide by 7. Oops, you can't see my divide by 7. So divide by 7, divide by 7, so that you have 1x, or x, equals 18. Okay, so that was this problem here. And that was about as hard as they made them in this section. So good luck. Let me know if you need help.